the one-handed backhand, the prettiest shot in the game and the most effortless shot as well. If you're working hard on your one-handed backhand, you're doing something wrong, because this shot is effortless. The arm, the hitting arm, is going away from the body. Okay, so it's an effortless shot, so you should not be working hard. Let's talk about consistency and power. Okay, for consistency, the first thing you have to consider is your foundation, which is your grip, because your grip is going to allow you to be vertical when you're hitting the ball. Okay, that's key. You want to be vertical. The racket needs to be straight up and down when you're making contact, and the racket's moving from low to high, low to high. All right, so you're going to impart some topspin to the ball. Topspin allows you to be very consistent because you can clear the net by a safe margin. You can get the ball up 4, 5, 6 feet and even higher over the net, and you have the spin, the topspin, to pull the ball back down in the court. So let's consider the grip. Okay, all tennis racket handles are octagonal or 8-sided. Okay, we're going to give these sides numbers, and we're starting on top with number 1, and we've got 2 here, that's small bevel there, 3, 4, and 5 is on the bottom. And then it would be the same thing for a left-hander going the other way. Okay, the same thing, 1 on top, 2 here, 3's on the side. Okay, so what we do now is we take the hitting hand, and you see I have an X here in the heel of my hand and an X on the index knuckle on the inside of the hand. Right now, I'm going to take those X's. For an Eastern backhand grip, I would put those X's right on number 1. Okay, that's an Eastern backhand grip right there. The X's are right on top, on the flat surface, on top of the handle. Index knuckle, heel of the hand, right on number 1. Now, that grip will allow you to get some topspin. Now, if you want to get a little more topspin and make it easier to get topspin, you could go what I call a semi-Western backhand grip. So instead of being on 1, you're going to be on 2 on this side. Okay, so your hand is going to turn towards you this way. Now my index knuckle is on number 2, and my heel is also on that as well. And you notice the face of the racket closed up. Right here, if you look, the racket is tilting down slightly. Now, if I go back to number 1 in Eastern grip, you'll notice the racket is not tilted down. So you might have to close up the face a little bit with an Eastern to enable you to get, the heavy topspin. So those are the 2 grips that you're going, either one of those are what you're going to need to be consistent with your one-handed backhand. Eastern, you're on number 1, or semi-Western, turn the hand, close up the face, and you're on number 2. Here's a little drill that you can do to really improve your consistency. Go to your grip, whatever you prefer, Eastern or semi-Western. Stand next to the net and use the white part of the net, the tape on the net, as your contact point, okay? Because remember, this is where you need to be vertical, moving from low to high. Okay, so just turn sideways to the net. Keep your hitting foot, your lead foot, about 1 foot to 1.5 foot away from the net, because you want to hit your one-handed backhand with the hitting arm fully extended. Okay, so I'm lower than the white part of the net. I'm coming up. Boom, there's my hit, and you can see I'm vertical. And from here, I would just finish through and come all the way up on my finish. So you can practice just brushing the net. Make sure you have, that Eastern or semi-Western grip. That's key. Remember, that's your foundation, the grip. So start below the ball, at least a good foot below the ball. So my racket is about a foot below the tape here at least, and I'm swinging up from the shoulder, and there's my hit. And this helps you get the feel of always being vertical when you're making contact. That's the key to consistency. The racket's moving from low to high, and you're imparting that topspin.
Okay, watch here in slow motion. I set the left foot right there, step in with the right. Now at the moment of contact, notice that my hitting arm is fully extended. The contact point right there is at least 1 foot to a foot and a half closer to the net than my right foot, my lead foot. So you want to hit the ball out in front. That's key. Okay, notice again here, slow motion. Set the left foot, step in with the right, drop the racket down. Right now, the racket is below the contact point, at least a good 1 foot below. And you can't see it, but the racket face is slightly closed, slightly facing down. That guarantees that I'm going to have a vertical racket when I'm hitting the ball. Now watch as the tape rolls, you'll see that the racket is vertical there. Okay, and this point here is about a foot higher than the low point on the backswing. Now notice the left hand stays back. It does not come forward. Even on the finish, you'll see the left hand stays back.
Okay, how do we get power with the one-hander? Well, remember, as I mentioned, the one-hander is an effortless shot. So you may be thinking, how do I get power if I'm not exerting a lot of effort? Well, the key is to stay loose, stay relaxed, and get racket head speed. That's the key. So you really want to keep a very loose shoulder. Hitting shoulder's got to be extremely relaxed and loose. So if you notice when I turn, say I'm turned and I'm hitting a backhand towards you now. Now watch, from here, I'm going to pull the racket back from my hitting shoulder, okay? So all of my upper back, my shoulder, all of this area is being stretched out, okay? I'm stretching that so then I can just release it very fast. Now there's no stop. When you bring the racket back, you don't stop and then swing. You want one continual movement, and the racket is picking up speed very fast. As a matter of fact, if you were to just turn, okay, you see a backhand, you turn, okay, you're ready to hit, right? You may have a slight pause here, but now when you're ready to hit the ball, you're pulling that racket back, you're stretching out the upper back, stretching it here, and if you notice, you can see the racket behind my back here. That's how much you want to pull it back. It's like stretching a rubber band, okay? So I'm stretching the rubber band, and then I'm just going to release it. It's just like letting the rubber band go. So that's the key to power. Don't try and muscle your one-handed backhand. If you're doing that, you'll never develop that effortless backhand that you want and that's going to give you power. So just pull it back from the shoulder, stretch the upper back, and then let it go. It's kind of like a rubber band. Think of it like, when you take that rubber band and you pull it back, see, that's when you're stretching the upper back and the upper arm. And then you just release it into the shot. And that's how you get that tremendous racket head acceleration, and you're going to get the power. So remember, when you turn, Okay, you haven't pulled it back yet, right? So from here, you have to time this, of course, and that's the hard part about it. The most difficult part is timing when to pull the racket back so that you're right there to meet the ball. But once you get that, you've got a backhand, powerful backhand that you can rely on. So you're here. Right here is when you're stretching the rubber band, okay? If I turn, I see a backhand, I turn. Okay, I'm ready to hit. Right here, I'm stretching it out, and then I just release. So, let's say right now the rubber band, you've just turned, okay? You're like this, and now you just stretch it out and let it go. One continual motion. That's how you get power. Remember, don't try and muscle the ball. You're never going to develop a solid one-handed backhand. It's got to be effortless.
Okay, watch here in slow motion. I'll set the left foot again. There's the left foot, and that's my initial racket take back. Now from here, I'm going to start to stretch the hitting shoulder, the upper back. I'm pulling the rubber band right there, and then I release it. Okay, from here again in slow motion, you'll see I'll set the left foot right there. Left foot is setting. That's my initial take back. From here, you're going to see that pull back, the stretching of the rubber band or the hitting shoulder. Right here, I'm pulling it back as I step in. Right there, the racket is back as far as I need right now. The shoulder, you can see I'm looking over my right shoulder. Now I'm just going to release it into the shot with an effortless type swing. That's what you want. And notice too that the left hand stays back. Actually let it go in the opposite direction and the racket goes out a little faster.